Hello, friends. My name is Steve, and we are here to discuss A War to End All. This is the third book in the Manifest Delusion series, and we'll be discussing chapters 28 through 46. And before we get started, just a thank you to Michael R. Fletcher for the intro and outro music, and of course, to Clayton Snyder for letting us get the book early. So, with all that out of the way, Varsha, will you kick us off?
Hi, my name is Varsha. This is my first time reading the series. I have a little YouTube channel called Reading by the Rainy Mountain, where I like to talk about my favorite books.
Nice. And Dan.
Hi, I'm Dan, and I prepare nothing for my very humorous intro, so that's it. I'm not a special person. I don't have a YouTube channel.
Pretend this is funny.
You're special to us, Dan. Aww.
That I agree. Why can't I think of saying nice things like that?
We read the next quarter of the book, and so what are everyone's thoughts going into the final 25%?
So I have to say, you guys were incredibly sweet for not discussing that we met the monster on the book at the end of the last reading section that I missed. So, yeah, that I was so sure that would be an end of the book thing. And, you know, we probably still will see it again. But, yeah, thank you for not breaking that.
And Dan, what about you? What are your thoughts?
I'm still not sure what's going to happen. Like, I don't know, it still seems like we're not... It doesn't seem like we're into the final, sequence of events, I think. It still feels a bit like sort of setting up for that. So I'm still unsure what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really doesn't feel like we're 2/3 done with the last book of the series. It just, because we're still meeting new characters and we're still setting things, we're still like being introduced to new people, and it feels like there's another book after this. So I wonder what's going to happen in this last 25%.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It feels like...
Oh, you don't feel like that, Varsha?
I mean, no, I agree that it doesn't feel like we're getting close to the end, but also in some ways I feel like we are, because all of the doppels, I don't remember what happened with Nukt in this section, but all of them are sort of destroying everything around them in some way or the other. And, I may have been misguided by the name. Like a war, typically in fantasy, usually we have these big battles that conclude everything. But here it's just a war to end all, and it feels like they're just ending all existence, or at least existence as they know of it in this world, in various forms. So I feel like we are building up to some sort of conclusion in that vein. But so that I feel like, I have a feeling that the ending is going to be underwhelming in a good way, like not this big blowout ending perhaps, but something mellow, like, yeah, cool, the world ended, and that, yeah, let's move on. Like, what's that Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy book? I don't remember. I feel like it's going to have a sort of Hitchhiker's Guide level ending. That's my guess from here.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good point that there was no actual war. And I guess it sort of makes sense, because also the previous books were all very character focused, not, state or whatever thing focused. I don't know. Steve, you've read some of his other books, right? Mm-hmm. I think you mentioned.
Yeah, I read his short story.
Are they also? Are they also like that, or?
I haven't read his other series. It's on the shelf here somewhere right behind me. But
yeah,
I do think that Varsha made a good point that I think we thought it'd be like a big war, and it almost feels like things are falling apart, like things are cracking, and like the world's going to end kind of feeling, because we do have some hints that things are kind of starting to wrap up, but at the same time we're meeting new people. Like we have a new slaver, and we have some other. And I love the Garen is that's. I love her. She just burns everything. But so it does feel like everything's falling apart. And what's the deal with farmhouses? There's a lot of them.
Oh, yeah.
There's something special about farmhouses.
There was. And was it the same farmhouse as from the second book?
It seemed like it.
Yeah, I thought so.
Could it be? Because I'm not sure about the geography and where they're going, right? But could it be?
They were near Gotlos, right, in the second book, and we are pretty much skirting the borders of Gotlos, it seems like, in this. I don't remember which Doppel, or maybe it was Gehin, who went to the barn. There was a barn, and the farmhouse had disappeared. But I don't remember what happened to the farmhouse.
It was Nacht, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Nacht, right? But then I feel like he would have recognized the farmhouse then.
Because he talks about there being a hole in a hole in it. I thought that was where the events of the second book happened. But it is. Is there even a Gatlos? Because it seems like it's not real. Like it's an illusion.
Oh, that's unclear. That horse is telling us all kinds of lies. Because he convinced Doubt that it's not real. So Doubt made it into a paper world. And then it's like, yeah, I convinced you, so that's why it doesn't exist. You basically destroyed this city. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. It could be. But something I just thought about from what you were saying, I guess of all the characters being introduced, well, some still being introduced, sort of, it does feel a lot like an RPG campaign sort of thing, you know, where the game master is not in control completely of the flow of the story, and sometimes things happen because players do something. And then it's react, and then you have like characters come in for a bit, and you know it's a bit unpredictable, right?
Yeah.
It does feel a bit like that.
Does this world have RPG origins? Do you know?
I don't remember. I don't think so. But every fantasy series seems to have some kind of inspiration from RPGs.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I don't know. And the other thing I was thinking of was like, now that you were talking about all the Morgan Doppels, I was like, oh, those kind of remind me now I think about like the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse, sort of. Not the same, not famine and stuff like that, but their own version, I guess. And because they're bringing sort of an apocalypse.
You're right. Yeah. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah. And I think...
Our minds are blown.
Yeah. Because I think it's getting more and more obvious, especially the last few chapters, with Christianity references, right? Sorry, did I lose you guys?
Yeah, you're back.
Hello. Okay, yeah. So I was saying that the last few chapters, the Christianity references are more and more obvious. It's not any religion. I think some of it is specifically about Christianity. I guess the flesh and blood reference, and then I don't remember, but there were a few. Oh, and then Yahweh, I guess, but that's not exactly Christianity, but
kind of.
Yeah, I suppose. So that was the only real world God reference by name. I suppose the others could be construed as, the other religion gods, the ones that fell out of the sky when Taboo brought.
Unless we consider the King in Yellow a current, real world god.
Yeah.
Which, it's a bit of a stretch, but...
Yeah.
So the gods falling out of the sky, could that be like falling angels?
I suppose it could be. Or it's a crack against all real world religions, right? Like, I guess Hinduism has a whole pantheon, and I guess Islam doesn't have a deity they worship, but I guess.
Oh no, they have God.
Yeah, they have God. Yeah.
Same as Christianity. I
You
think.
could, yeah, I guess Yahweh covers a whole lot of religions there. But
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like, some of them they said are metal, some wrapped in animal skin. That sounds a bit like Shiva to me. I don't know if that's the reference they had, because Shiva, I don't know if you guys know the god, but he has a river flowing out of his bun, and he has a snake around his neck, and he wears animal skins. So yeah, I feel like maybe some Hindu gods are referenced there too, but I could be just reading into that.
Yeah. I mean, the whole, through all the books, there's a lot of jabs against religion.
Yeah.
Very, very obvious,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
So,
the most direct ones, like at least the ones I got the immediate references of, were at Christianity, but like I think it is generally against religion, and it feels like the whole world order in general, especially the epigraphs are getting more obvious in that regard as well. Like this one about the chapter 46, I think, was particularly telling. The gods piss on us and the priests tell us it's raining. The bankers tax us and tell us it's for the greater good. Ironic then that the church is never taxed and the bankers never bothered by venal guilt. So we talked about this in the last two books, where it felt like commentary on the real world, and it was fairly subtle. We read what we wanted into it. Here it's like, no, these are the things I'm angry about. And, so it feels more obvious. That's also the reason why I feel like it's just sort of a reworking of all the things that they hate and destroying that, but on a very fundamental level. Yeah.
I guess I wonder, what do you think about, again, criticism of religion in a world like this? Because you could make the argument that in a world where people's belief shape reality, the existence of religion would be quite a good thing, because it would sort of help people maintain, the correct reality, I guess, or somewhat an ordered reality, right? Because if you think about why religion exists a lot of the time, or some religious practice exists in real world, it's to codify behaviors which are good for the people, like, oh, don't eat this because it might be bad for you, or social dynamics which are, I'm not going to say good, but maybe just like stable for a society. So I would think maybe it would even be more in a world like this, or do you think it's just like the opposite? In a world like this, religion is even worse because it could actually shape reality. So something bad in religion would be even worse because it would make it real.
Yeah,
What do you think?
I wonder, are delusions like a form of religion? Is that what they're playing at here? That delusions become like almost religion, or they're meant to keep people in line, and it's how they're used, or how the delusions are used against everyone. I don't know. But yeah, I definitely think that there's some commentary there about religion, and a lot of criticism about religion, about like Morgan, all his followers believing in him and being like lemmings basically, and he just can't. He can't control all of them to do what he wants them to do, so he ends up losing a lot of them. So he's almost he dwindled down to almost nothing now because he's lost everyone. So I wonder if that's these people without a mind of their own, without any agency, if that's kind of what they're playing at too, is you become a mindless follower, like following each other off the cliff.
I guess, do you think that like having mindless followers believe in you gives less power to the gods because they don't have the right to believe in it? Like you can't, if you force someone to believe in something, then the strength of their belief is going to be weaker.
I think in peacetime it might be okay, but if in battle it seems to not be working for Morgan very well. It's definitely on the nose though, the religious stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like this world is You know the thing that some fantasy and maybe even SF books do, where they take a real world scenario and then they exaggerate the hell out of it so you can see how it would look if everything went bad, or sort of see the allegory in it and like understand this is what they're talking about. This feels like that to me in many ways. Because the underlying commentary that they make about religion, I sort of agree with about our world. Like these are exaggerated versions of religious worshippers, but like, okay, before the record, I'm an atheist, so I have some very strong opinions about religion and the system of belief and whatnot. But yeah, so I happen to agree with a lot of the underlying commentary. So this feels like an exaggerated version of our world in some sense. So yeah, I think to answer your question, Dan, or like to try and come up with an answer for it, it feels like this is what they made the world to be. There are a lot of epigraphs that say, if you could choose anything, why would you choose the bad things, right? I forget which one. There was one about the sins of the father are inherited by the son, but no one talks about the virtues. And there was one more. I think Victig had a dream, and there was a god trapped in it. Yeah, she says, you could make it a heaven, you could make it a heaven, you could make it a heaven. So it's like, if you can be deluded and you can do whatever you want, why aren't you choosing the good things? And well, I feel like that's the same as our world, right? Like there are many nice things that religion gives you, all the ones that you pointed out, Dan, like community and good sense of moralism and so on. But then there's so much damage the world sees because of intolerance, religious and otherwise. This feels like an exaggerated version of that. Like this, it could have been another way in this world too, but it's not.
Yeah, there was the epigraph on 35. As a political leader, there are two things you must understand. Faith is believing what you can't see, and so is insanity. Of the two, faith is more easily shaped, and thus the results are controllable. Insanity is purest chaos. You must never let the masses understand that faith is a choice, and that power was theirs to begin with.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, it makes sense, right? I don't know. And as far as like, people making things bad when we could make things good, I guess maybe maybe Michael R. Fletcher and believes that people are inherently bad or self-destructive, maybe.
Yeah.
Because that's the usual question, right? Are people inherently bad or good? Who knows?
So, that movie, I forget what it's called. I forget what it's called, but it's the one where, all crime is legal for a day and people go out on killing sprees or something. My teammates were joking about how that's just silly because, like, if they could do anything and all crime was legal, they'd just, be sitting and doing insider trading for 24 hours. So, this feels a bit... This feels a bit like that, like you could do anything and you pick the worst possible thing that you could do.
I mean, would people really want to just go and kill people and stuff like
exactly.
that? Like, I don't know. I wouldn't want to.
Yeah, I'd rather go steal a book or something.
Or find Varsha at the bookstore, yeah. Than arm both of the books.
Yeah, so... I don't know if that was an answer, but that's where my head went when you asked that question, Dan.
I think it's The Purge, right?
Yeah, The Purge. Yes, exactly. That's the one.
I've never seen it, but yeah.
Yeah, I've only seen the trailers and I didn't want to.
I've heard it's silly.
Yeah, it's the idea, I think, is fun but It was okay. It was fine.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
As far as like loose connection, but when you were talking about like Morgan taking away the free will of his people and stuff like that, there was like a note I made while reading that was like, oh, I'll go back because I want to discuss this. And then I actually didn't make a note because I'm bad at using the Kindle. But I think I remember. I think it's something like when Morgan was, what was it? He was in the afterworld or something, thinking to himself, about erasing, making all his followers just blind robots or something. And he said something like, it's fine if you give people the correct freedoms, something like that. I think it was almost exactly like it's like a very short phrase, like, it's fine if you give them the correct ones. And I was just thinking, like, that, okay, like, I understand, say, it just feels to me like that what someone that would criticize someone doing that would say. He would say, like, oh, it's fine as long as you give them the correct ones, not someone which is trying to say that to themselves to justify what they're doing. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I think it would make more sense if it's. This is just in general for other stuff in the book too. Like, if instead of saying that, it was framed like him talking to himself and saying something like, "Oh, is it wrong for the father to limit, the freedoms of a child for his good, for his own good, or for the owner to keep the pet safe and restrict his freedom because he knows best, or to keep the alcohol away from an alcoholic? Is it bad for someone that knows what's best to help someone else by restricting their freedom?" And if you pose it like that, the reader might be like, oh, there might be something to it, right? I just thought that was just something that, just the way it's written, I mean, it's just very obvious what it's criticizing, right? I feel like it could be a bit more subtle, maybe, but yeah. Like, it's fine to reach that conclusion. I just want to reach it myself a bit, Make me work a bit for it, make me think a bit. But anyways.
Yeah.
That's just something I was thinking while reading that part.
I see what you mean, but also I feel like until like the last few chapters, the series hasn't exactly been on the nose about what it's saying, right? You can interpret that if you want to, or you can just read it for fun.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe they felt like they needed to be more explicit just to be sure that they're making the point, or I don't know. Yeah, I see what you mean. I don't know how I feel about it as a reader, but I also feel like I kind of liked the sort of on-the-nose aspect of some of the things that we got. Because
it was sort of a comment of his style, like an example of, this is a good example of an explicit style choice that was made, right? Which, gives you a certain feeling as opposed to different style choices, which might give you a different feeling, right?
Yeah.
I just thought that was a good example,
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's interesting seeing the evolution of the series, because I think the first book took itself. There were some funny moments in it, but I think it was more. I don't want to say it took itself more seriously. That sounds pretentious and like that doesn't. But I think you know what I mean. Like it seemed like it didn't lean into the humor as much. I think the humor was there, but it was spread out a little bit more. The first book was darker. I don't think it was as dark as everyone says it is, but it is. I think it's a little on the darker side. But and then the second book, I think, leaned into the humor a little bit more. It was focused more on characters and kind of opened up the world. And this one is very heavily like, and I think it's intentionally smack you in the face with it funny. Like it's trying to be funny, trying to be overtly, it's not hiding anything. I think it's interesting seeing the way that it evolved from book one to this one, kind of how we've gone through the series. Because if you compare Beyond Redemption to this one, there's more humor in the first 20 pages of this book than there was in all of Beyond Redemption, probably.
True.
That's not a criticism. I just think it's interesting seeing the difference, like how we started and now how we're finishing, and kind of.
That's a good point. How far apart were the books written?
I think the first book was 2015 or 6. I can look it up, but I think there were several years between. Let's see.
Do you think that's just like a change in this in Michael R. Fletcher's style of writing, or more like this sort of series he thought needed this sort of thing as he was writing it?
Let's see. So Beyond Redemption was 2015. I think he, from just kind of my take on it is that he's like having a little bit more fun with it. Like he's leaning into it more, kind of, I think it was a stylistic choice. And The Mirror's Truth was 2016, December of 2016. So we're a good 6-7 years.
Wow, it's been a long time.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Steve, have you read the books that Snyder wrote by himself? I know you mentioned one that was very funny, but the others?
River of Thieves. It's hilarious. It's really, it is funny from start to finish. There's violence in there, but it's just a romp. It's like, and I think Snyder's influence is apparent here because he's, after reading the River, fuck, I'm bad at book names, but anyway, reading his book, he wrote by himself, and then seeing, you can definitely see his imprint, his fingerprints in this one, because it is that type of humor, and it's very overt. It's very just like having a good time kind of thing, which I think is an interesting contrast to this series, because we start off really serious and dark, and like the slaver and Morgan being broken, and so I just think it's funny. It's interesting seeing the evolution of this one.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, like the first book, like you said, feels a bit like the first Law trilogy, sort of like the atmosphere and a bit variety style stuff. But now we're it's very different, like you said, which is interesting.
I haven't read the first Law, but is that also known for some humor?
There's dark humor, but it never goes like silly. I think it's like there's some dark humor, but it's pretty. I think it's pretty serious most of the time.
Yeah, it's there's a little bit of humor in it. I think there's a couple of characters that you can count on to provide the humor, at least those moments. But I'm not the biggest fan, so I'm probably the wrong person to ask.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think it's okay. I think it's fine. I don't think it's bad. I just I don't think I'm gonna get in trouble for saying this, but nobody can agree with what grimdark is, right? Nobody can agree. It's a pointless argument to have, because it's different for everyone. But when people say to get into grimdark you should read First Law, I think that's bad advice. I think it's not a good representation of what dark fantasy is. I think it's more, I don't know. I don't think it's a staple for dark fantasy.
No. Yeah, I think it's more like a deconstruction of the classical tropes, right? Yeah. That's what I'd say it is, in a more modern style. But
yeah, I'd say like Beyond Redemption or Ash and Sand, or what else? Like Adrian Selby, anything Adrian Selby's written, that's more, or like Bengali, that's more grimdark, I think. But that's just my opinion. Everyone has a different, so who am I?
Yeah. It's like one of those things that everybody uses their own definition to declare something grim, dark, or not.
Yeah.
Even what's grim and what's dark.
Yeah, nobody can agree, so it's pointless.
So, new topic. I really love the epigraphs where there's two quotes, and one of them is calling the previous quoter a twat or an idiot. Or that they need to calm the fuck down. That's fantastic.
I mean, it's pretty. How do I say? Even in real life, that's pretty real. Like in ancient history, a lot of writers called each other out. Maybe not super. Maybe you do a bit of rhetorical figures or something, but then everyone is like, I know he's talking about that guy.
Yeah, but like I think this is yes, and I'm sure that's sort of the inspiration for this. But to see them both placed together like that, usually epigraphs are these serious things that are supposed to set the theme for your chapter and like what you're reading, and then here you just have two people having a fight. You don't know what side the author is on.
Con each other
Yeah.
twat. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Hearing Varsha say that, it's just like,
I think it's because most books, they choose the nice quotes and they choose to avoid all the I don't know if you've read any random Roman letters or stuff, like there's the stuff that everybody, the stuff that you study in school that is quoted, and then there's like the other stuff, the vulgar stuff, the stuff that's like insulting or super, scandalous stuff. Yeah.
I see. This is a thing. Yeah, that's one of the things I want to read at some point. Letters that authors exchange to each other, or big personalities. I know they've published those. I don't know why they would allow that, but anyway, that'd be nice. Good material.
Or I wonder if it could also be, because a lot of what people did in the past, or like even like philosophers or whatever, right? You publish a book in which it's a dialogue, and one of the persons represents you, and the other person represents your enemy author, and you make the enemy author say the most stupid stuff to prove your point, right? So maybe those epigraphs are not, maybe they're not exactly written by that person. It's just one guy writing for the other guy.
Yeah. Oh, that would be hilarious.
I've heard, I'm not sure if this is true or not, but I've heard that Revelations in the Bible, a lot of it is people taking shots at each other, like political enemies or people that they were they had disagreements with, that they made reference to those people in Revelations, like as a as a fuck you, like, oh yeah, I'll put you in Revelations, like, so I don't know if that's true or not.
Very
That's just what I've
likely.
heard. Yeah. So
what sort of?
I know for sure that, I don't know if you've read parts of the Divine Comedy, right? But the Divine Comedy is full of, all these people are the guys I think are bad political figures, so I'm going to put them in hell.
yeah.
What's in Revelations? What sort of thing is in there, and is that something that people preach from?
It's like the end of the world kind of thing, and like the horsemen and the horns and like the end of the world kind of thing. The what is it? Scorpions that come and start killing people.
There's a lot of crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's worth a read. It's like, it's at the end. I think it's at the end. It's the last. It's the last chapter.
Don't spoil the Bible for me, Steve.
It's like the appendices. It's not as dark. It's not as dark as Second Apocalypse, though. So you'll be okay.
Okay.
Yeah. It's still pretty bonkers what, random stuff that happens in, and the stuff like the weird descriptions of it, like angels and demon creatures and things that happen on Earth. It's like, it's pretty fucking weird.
Yeah, it is. Pretty bonkers.
But I guess, I'm sure Varsha has a lot more knowledge than us about Indian mythology and Indian religion, and I know there's like bonkers shit there too. Probably way crazier than ours.
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't know. Bible doesn't have a lot of weird creatures, right? We have all kinds in ours. You know, Garuda. You both have met a Garuda at this point. I hope you have, Steve. Have you gotten that far in Perdido Street Station?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
I'm behind.
Anyway, that's
Really?
Indian
But it-
mythology.
I thought it comes up really early. Does
Yeah,
it
it's
not?
in the first couple of. It's in the first section.
I'm behind.
Commissioned. Okay. What was I saying? Oh, by the way,
Are we
that chat
from-
got moved
yeah.
up to 30th. We'll need to talk about that afterwards. But yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff. There are some things that I get actively angry at, and others that I'm like, yeah, that's cool. Why don't we apply that more instead of being angry at each other for no reason? So yeah, there's all kinds of things. So there are some things that I got angry about, like I was like, this is really sexist and I don't like it. In some stories from the Mahabharata, there are some very strong characters or strong women in that story, but there are some that I got upset at. So I was like, I'm going to buy the unabridged translation of the Mahabharata and see if, these are translation errors or like people misinterpreting, like adding the sexism to it, or if it's just something that's in the text, right? So I bought it, and then I opened a random page, and there was just this story that I don't remember, but I was like, okay, there's my proof that it's not interpretation. This is the translated text. So someone just carries this woman off and all he does is take the permission of her husband. The woman has no say in it. She gets abducted and whatnot. Anyway, yeah, there are bonkers things that I get angry at, but there are also things that we can learn from. So,
I'm just going to read the
like-
Old Testament then.
Yeah.
Is that
Down and stuff like that. Yeah.
Have
The
you
New
read?
Testament is a lot more fun.
Yeah, it's a lot tamer.
The old one. Yeah.
Have you read Gaurav Mohanty's book? Is it Children of Darkness?
Children of... Yeah, something like that. Children...
I think it's
Sons of Darkness.
Sons of Darkness. Sorry.
Yes. I didn't... I started it. I couldn't finish it.
So yeah. So cool. So yeah. What you said? Chapter 30, Varsha.
Chapter 30?
That you said you wanted to talk about something in chapter 30, or did I mishear you?
Oh, I don't think so. I think I just started the thing about epigraphs and it was chapter 34.
Oh, okay.
But, yeah, I don't know. Did you guys want to bring up a new topic? Because I have one to talk about.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So, what do you guys think of Morgan ending up in the afterdeath and, like, nobody's around? So, I feel like the fact that the Gotlos king brought all the undead from the afterdeath to the point where it's empty now, it feels a bit underplayed, like it must be a lot more of a bigger deal than it's made out to be. So what do you guys think of that whole undead plus empty afterdeath stuff?
Wait, so when all the undead went from the afterdeath to life, weren't they all then burned by Gehirn? So wouldn't they
Yeah.
go back to the afterdeath, or no? Or do they just they're gone at that point?
No, I think they're gone. I think they
okay.
mentioned that a few times, that Gehin, when she burns them, they're gone. In fact, I think it was probably in Gehin's POV that when she went to the afterdeath the first time, or the only time, there was no one waiting for her because everyone she killed, she did so by burning them. And that gives them a more complete end than the afterdeath.
Oh, okay. I didn't. I think I missed that because I remembered that thing with the dragon, right? Because the dragon was like killing thing, and they didn't go to the afterdeath. But I didn't realize it was the same for Gehir. Interesting. Maybe it's for the better. I don't know. I don't know where we go.
Yeah, and there was, I think it was an epigraph about how they keep creating worse and worse after death for themselves, right? Each is worse than the other, which also maybe gives some credence to you guys' theories from earlier that this world is the after death, is an after death too. But what was I saying? Yeah, it feels like some perspective, I don't know which, is that the finality of being burnt and not going to any after death, at least not the one that the warriors end up at, is a good thing.
Maybe they go to a different after death. The real after death which is not governed by random people's beliefs.
Yeah.
Kind of. So, speaking of the after death, I start to wonder about Stellan, because Stellan and Witchstick, because they both came from the after death, and is Stellan, because I forget who tells her that she's in hell, basically that she's or not in hell, but she's in the after death, because she thinks that she's her sister. She kills her dad. She ends up like slashing her own face to spite her sister. So I start to wonder, it seems like everything's converging, and like things are like running into each other. Like maybe the after death is the world now. Is that why it's empty? Because everything is coming back? I don't know.
Oh, that could be a thing. That's a good point. Maybe Gehiren is going to burn everything, and then the after death is going to become the new status quo, the new world. And that's what happened to the previous one. There was a previous world, and it got destroyed, so the next layer became the world. I don't know.
Maybe. And
Yeah.
But it could be, because there are some things mentioned like that.
Was it because Taboo? Was it Taboo? I think either Taboo tells someone, or is it somebody tells Taboo that because he says something about like Morgan being remembered, and they said, well, there won't be anyone around to remember him. Like, you're all gonna die. Like, no one's gonna make it out. So I wonder if things are, like you said, Dan, like this will become the after death or something, or it's almost
sure
like
we're going towards some sort of apocalypse, right?
Yeah.
But who knows what the result of that is?
It's very clever sort of apocalypse. Tell me again who the 4 horsemen are. Death, famine.
Death, famine, disease, and what's the last one? War.
Okay. So disease is probably contamination.
Yeah. I don't know if there's the exact parallel, because I tried thinking about it. I don't think there's an exact parallel. I think the parallel is only like 4 of them and 4 identities, I think, because otherwise it doesn't really align, does it?
I see. Yeah. Doubt probably doesn't have an equivalent there. Perfection was not feeding anyone, was he? Could that be famine? Maybe.
I guess.
So that leaves doubt and taboo.
Because we have death, famine, war, and conquest.
War and conquest.
Conquest, yeah.
Revelation 6 tells of a book or scroll in God's right hand that is sealed with the 7 seals. So, are there any seals? They ride on horses.
I don't know. I don't think we've
Yeah.
been near the ocean for a while. Or ever. So I haven't seen any seals.
They'd be clubbed a long time ago if there were seals in this world.
Yeah. In this world, yeah, for sure.
I just watched a Frasier episode with a dead seal in it yesterday, so that's particularly funny. Yeah, I was trying to see.
I don't think
if
there's more parallels than just that. I don't think it goes more in depth than that for now. But
Yeah. I like that at least 2 match, though. That seems to fit your theory, Dan.
Because there's what, self-destruction?
Oh, self-destruction was Koenig's doppel.
Yeah.
Or wannabe doppel.
Well,
Who's having identity crisis about whether he's the Obsidian or Koenig or his own entity.
Seems like he's kind of like becoming something else. Like he's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is he starting to have... I mean, this was way earlier in the book where he had a semi-identity crisis where he's like, am I Koenig now? I'm starting to have thoughts like him. What do you guys think he's up to with all the destroying the world? Do you think he's just another agent of the goddess who wants to destroy everything, or...
I don't know what he wants. It's like just doing random, just destroying everything, right?
Yeah. He wants to destroy faith itself, right?
Yeah.
That faith in everything.
Yeah, like the sort of the fabric of reality in this world, I guess, because it's, this world is based on what people believe, i.e. faith.
Yeah. Yeah. That does, yeah. At the very least, he's furthering the agenda of whoever wants to destroy everything and start over.
Yeah, but I guess it's also, but we're probably going to see another one, I guess, because wasn't there the other guy which was approaching the statue, wanting to talk to it, and, I assume that he's going to get also either infected or possessed by the statue. Right?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm trying to remember what that was. This is why I read everything the day before. I try to be good and read a week ahead. I don't remember anything. So, yeah, how did that guy end up in the cart? Oh, yeah, self-destruction did that. He wanted him carted out of the city so that he can stop being influenced by Obsidian. And then the reflections and doppels were reflecting off of that stone. But the shadow fellow, the dude with the shadows, his shadow got eaten up by the Obsidian, and so it seems to be absorbing personalities. And he met Zukunft, right? And she was talking to the Obsidian too. Oh yeah, that woman is terrifying.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think she was lying about... Do you think she was lying about losing her mirrorist powers or do you think the Obsidian found a way to talk to her regardless?
Well, I mean, if she's the mirror image, then she's not a mirrorist, as far as I've understood up to now. Like, the mirror image is not the mirrorist themselves, are they?
She was talking to what I thought was her reflection in the Obsidian.
Well, because I guess that would be Zukunft, right? The original one, right?
Yeah.
Then.
Oh, I see. Do you think Zukunft got trapped like Koenig got trapped and became failure?
And so that's what happens when the mirrorist tendencies take over, but maybe I'm wrong. That's what I thought happened. Like, it just switches, sort of.
That makes sense.
But then I guess at that point, like, the person inside the mirror, they do have the powers of the mirror, right? Because didn't Koenig have them when he was inside, or no? Or he didn't?
He was trapped inside a room. I thought mirror images could move more freely than that,
but was he able to? I don't remember. Like, did he use like the information inside, like, him seeing the future or other locations to plot against the mirror Koenig, or no?
I want to say he did, but I think that happened off page because there was a time gap between when we met Failure for the last time and then the next thing we knew he had come back again. All he did was so yeah, I think he used this ability to at least communicate with other reflections, like reflections of other mirrors, to get information. But Yeah, I don't remember. I think he did have some reflection powers, but it wasn't described in too much detail, I don't think.
Okay. Yeah, so I have no clue what's going on with Zukunft.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah. So who do we think are all the major players? Like, we are at the last quarter of the book, so we're about to hit the climax. Who do you think the major players will be? The Obsidian has to be there, but who else?
100% that Stellan is going to be there
Yeah.
and killing someone. I don't know who.
Do you think what's happening with Stellan, like if we get to the bottom of that, we'll know what's up with the world too?
Maybe. Will she be the one to figure it out?
Yeah. I don't feel like she wants to know though. She's like, yeah, cool, I'm in Maya's body now. Let me just go hack away.
Do you think she'll kill Morgan?
I think so. Or maybe she'll kill Nacht. One of them. One or either, I think.
Yeah.
Because we have to get a reunion, right, with Witchtig and Stellan?
Yeah.
We have to get a reunion somehow. No, you don't think so?
Yeah, I don't know what Victig is doing. What is he even trying to do now? I'm unsure.
I think he set out to be the world's greatest swords man, and he's being upstaged by his pupil. Sorry, that's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. What Beck is interesting. Yeah, I'm just on the edge of really disliking him and loving his character.
I preferred the other, the previous pupil.
Yeah.
She was. I like the one that believes what he says. It's more funny, I think.
Yeah, that's true. It is. I mean, you almost. Well, I felt sorry for Victig. That's not a position I want to be in.
Yeah. But he's heading away from all the other guys, right?
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah. So I wonder how they'll end up together, I guess, if he has to have any part in it.
So he wanted to go. Oh wait, he wanted to go on a quest to the other side of the world, but then he's like, "I'll go to Selbstas first and get Morgan to fix my face, and then go back." He picked up a pupil on the way, and he met a bunch of swordswomen. He met a swordswoman. Yeah. So he's back in Selbstas. Yeah, okay, he watched Selbstas burn, apparently. That was the last we saw of him.
Okay, yeah, okay. Interesting.
Steve, you mentioned a new slaver. I forget who was it?
Deeb. D-I-E-B. I think he was in chapter 29, 30 maybe?
Yeah. Well, Morgan too, technically.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
I see. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. They get Gehian to try to follow him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I thought there was like the leader of the like undead army from the Glottos or whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's who that was. I think.
I guess we've heard of him, but we hadn't met him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I love the ending that Gehin gave him. It's like, oh, you want what? You want me to serve you? Here. Why don't you burn instead?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I enjoyed this set of chapters quite a bit. And I'm eager to see how it's going to end.
Yeah, still unsure what's going to
Yeah.
happen there.
Yeah. So, weird question, but what would be? I feel like at this point, this book can do practically anything, and I'd be okay with it. So, what is an ending for both of you that would really disappoint you? Like, if this happened, I'm gonna hate this book.
Ooh. What do you think, Dan?
I don't know if it's boring. If it's like, I don't know. If Morgan dies and then I don't know, I'm trying to think. Even if it like, oh, if something happens and it restarts implying that it's like a cycle, that might be fine too, right? I don't mind that.
Yeah, I wanted to ask a question. Speaking of cycles, I had a question about Witchdig, but before that, I think I think I'd be okay with almost anything. I think I just want the end to have a little bit of finality, I guess. What about you, Varsha? What would make you really dislike it?
I don't know. I feel like if it undermined all the things that it seems to be, all the themes that I think. So, Dan, when you said you wanted to figure it out for yourself, like for me, it made me like the book more because I tend to care about what I think the author's trying to tell me, and it feels clear here that I'm sort of in agreement with their religious beliefs. It feels like that. Right? I don't feel like that's just in there for entertainment. I feel like it's probably what they believe too. And for that, I feel like if the ending undermines all of that in some way by making a silly point or something, yeah, it'd be incredibly hard to do that. But if that happens, then maybe I'd like it a bit less. But yeah.
Now that I think about it, if the ending is trying to make some sort of point, I don't think I would like that. I don't want it to make any sort of point. I want it to be stupid or whatever,
Yeah, actually, that would be my favorite. If it's just stupid, I'd love it. And I want it to be stupid. It feels weird to say I want a book called A War to End All to have a stupid ending, but I feel like it has earned it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just before I forget, there was a mention of, because I think we had talked about this in book 1 or book 2 about Witchdig and Bedecked being the same person. And there was another mention of his joints popping, like Bedecked's joints used to pop. Is he becoming bedecked?
Yeah. Yeah, I noticed that too. If he's not becoming bedecked, he's at least becoming a lot like bedecked. Is it karma because he had so much contempt for bedecked? But not really. He did like the man, so.
Yeah.
Maybe
it's a sort of lesson in like what we become, or people start that way and end up that way.
Yeah. Is the world replacing a bedecked shaped hole with victim? But I forget which book that was. It was something that created such a big void that they needed to. I think it's the beginning of Sandman. Yeah. Oh. Anyway, the very beginning.
I do like that.
Not a spoiler, but yeah.
I like when books use a concept, like a bit of a meta concept of a sort of like, oh, there needs to be a hero or something like that, or needs to be a villain, right?
Yeah.
So there's a void, and then something goes to fill it, and then might be wacky or whatever, different, or it's some sort of comment on who takes over the role, which I guess would fit in this sort of world too, right?
Yeah.
Except there's no heroes or enemies. Yeah. Everyone is an enemy.
Yeah.
We need an insanely sane person. That's the whole that bedecked.
Yeah. Well, yeah, or maybe that could happen at the end. Maybe the hero is going to show up at the end and fix everything.
Who is the hero? Which of the characters we've
Well, we
met
haven't
so far?
seen him yet,
Oh, we
but he's
haven't
gonna
seen
show up at the end.
like the police in Indian movies.
Yeah.
I was gonna say something. Oh yeah, what about that Super Saiyan dude that Tabu used to go destroy all the church delusions and the tax collectors delusions? I thought that was cool. Yeah.
Does it look Lengus?
How would he do it, though? How would he able to do it? I thought he was just a random guy.
Yeah, it felt like it. Did you guys feel like that came almost out of nowhere? Like there was no foreshadowing of Tabu feeling weaker or anything like that. And then suddenly it's, oh, this is why I'm feeling weaker. Now I'll use him to destroy the city.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. I mean, there's so much stuff happening that sometimes I'm like, did I miss
Yeah.
something?
Yeah, it's possible. Yeah.
Taboo killing that prostitute and keeping her alive with his delusions while she was flayed alive. That was awesome. In the most horrible way. I mean,
Yeah.
It actually was because I mean the scene started with him taking her tongue, and obviously we probably went somewhere else with that, and then he's like chewing on it. I also really this is why this is dark, and it's bad to laugh at dark fantasy jokes. But the image of Taboo hanging upside down from a cactus, all flayed, and just a head with the skeleton in that last chapter. It was Taboo, right? Yeah, it was Taboo after he got out of that city. I thought that was hilarious.
It was brutal.
Yeah.
It transitions pretty fast from being funny to like, whoa, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, so I guess the cue for hilarity there is that Taboo's like, yeah, cool. This I get to meet my end goal this way. But if he had been suffering, it would have been dark. But he was not, so it's funny. Yeah.
Just trying to think what else I had written down. I think that was about it.
I think that's about it. At least that's what I remember.
Yeah.
Yep.
So do you both of you, or what do each of you think about is Gotlos real or not? And is it doubt just being doubtful?
Well, no, it used to be real, but now it's not because Dowd doesn't believe in it anymore. So it became that, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And then he's slowly transforming all the things as he walks by, right?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
He's doubting their existence.
Yeah, and slowly unraveling the fabric of reality, probably at some point.
Yeah. That's neither war nor conquest, so.
So before we wrap up, what are predictions for each of you? How do you think it ends? Or what major event, or how do you think it'll end? Either or.
So I don't think the world will be saved, right? I don't think anyone's trying to. So the question is, does anyone... will our characters go with the world, or if they continue on to the next one? So...
I think they'll
not.
still be there, at least a couple of them. I think it's going to end with something like, Stellan or Victig or something just walking towards the horizon in whatever this new world is. I think that's what I'm going to guess.
So this
This
goddess...
new world might be, this new world might be the after death of the current world, might be a new one, might be our reality, maybe, who knows, but that's what I think.
So the goddess created a new world and then she seeded it with the worst of them.
Yeah,
Adam
maybe
and
he's
Eve.
gonna become the Adam of a new world.
Oh, interesting. Interesting.
Hmm.
I
don't
like
know,
that.
Maybe that's my prediction.
Now that's how I want it to end.
That'd be wild.
What are your predictions, Steve?
I think Stellan will kill Morgan.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they'll all die.
You think they'll all die? Cool.
And the book ends that way.
Yes, I think everyone's going to die. But I think Stellan will get her
it
revenge.
ends with like a line saying, "And then they all died."
It'll be a funny, shitty thing that one of them says, like, you know, kind of like we're going down. There'll be one snarky last line, and then everyone will be dead.
I like that.
I think that's very plausible.
Do you think any of Morgan's doppels or reflections will stick around?
I don't know. Maybe one of them will seed a new world or something.
Yeah, I don't like any of them. I don't like any of them as seeds.
Yeah.
I like Victig and Stellan.
Actually, now that I think about it, I don't know. I'm thinking that there must be something to do with, you know, how Bedekt was sane and he made things sane. There must be something with that at the end. There must be something, either someone making everything sane or something like that. I think. Because I think there's been something like either Morgan thinking about it. There's been other, mentions of it after, which made me think that it's going to come up again.
The sanity?
Yeah. I think someone thought about something like, Bedekt made it become sane for a second, and then there was some other comment on it, which was like, okay, but I think this is going to come back later on in a major way. But, that's my feeling.
Yeah.
Will we see Bedekt again?
I hope not.
Yeah. I think we'll see Victig as a Bedekt lookalike. I think that's the most we're going to get of Bedekt in this book.
I hope so. I like Bedekt, but I think, I hope he stays dead. Or wherever he is.
I love you, but I hope you stay dead.
I think his character ended. It was like a cool ending for him, so I don't want to. Let's leave it. I like him, but he went out pretty cool. He had a good finale, so
that was a good way to go.
Yeah. Maybe the goddess is gonna need someone sane to see the new world or to fix this world, so that delusions don't break things all the time.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fun, whatever happens.
Yeah.
25% more to go.
Read the rest.
Yeah.
Tonight. We have less than 100 pages, I think.
No, nice.
Yeah.
So cool. So in the meantime, before next week, Varsha, where can people find you?
My channel is Reading by the Rainy Mountain. The About page has other ways to reach me and links to my podcast. And I hang out on the Patreon forum a lot.
Nice. And Dan?
You can find me on the Patreon forum, and if by some incredible coincidence you work at some random copper mine in the US and you're doing some random training, which I'm not going to mention here, tomorrow and Wednesday, then maybe you're going to see me in person. Who knows?
You never know who's listening. You never know.
You never know.
Never know.
Steve should post this a few days after we record just to trip all the listeners up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's not going to be.
Instead of going to every door in your home city, they'll be going to every copper mine in the United States looking for you. There's probably less copper mines than doors in your home city. So, but yeah. We'll let them
There's
figure
a
it
lot
out.
of copper mines in the US. I'm just going to say that. But.
Huh. They are spread out though too, so I would imagine.
Oh yeah. Long drive.
Yeah. Well, cool. So we will see everyone next week, and then after that, we'll be starting Tuesdays, or we'll record on Tuesdays. We'll be discussing Matterhorn, and we'll be beginning The Prince of Nothing, part by part.
Yes.
So all the details are on the forum. Go check them out if you want to join us. And until next time, we'll see everyone soon. Have a great week.